Oh, the live button's on. Everyone put on your favorite characters.
I'm sorry, my computer's just acting up a little bit. How's everybody doing?
I'm good, man.
It's good to hear from you, sir.
Good to hear from you too. What happened to you yesterday?
I got tired. Very tired.
That's
got
good.
tired. What's that?
No, that's good. I hope you got some sleep.
I got a lot of sleep. I got way more sleep than I usually get. About twice as much as usual. I got like human sleep.
Oh, so I'm expecting a refreshed Sky Daddy today. That's good. And Prescott going psychedelic here. What's up, man? I'm good.
Prescott's got a new shtick.
I like it, man.
When I talk, I need to hit a button so you can hear the film projector.
Nice.
It's still funny.
That shit is awesome.
I love it.
Shut up.
It's
I'll
okay,
be right back.
Scott. I will send you hearts your way. I'm not mocking you.
Hey, Kevin, welcome.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the room.
Thanks a lot.
I can't stop.
I've never heard him giggle before.
Oh my God. Kevin, something I just wanted to clear up. Rob is not a representative of the whole of the atheist community by any means.
Just all the atheists that I've ever met.
Well, I think it's important to mention that in any philosophical group or subculture, you're always going to have the jackasses. And it sucks, and it's not something a lot of us want to hear, but at some point we have to kind of take responsibility for these people and let them know that, hey, that kind of behavior is not welcome.
Well, can I just say that I'm a jackass, but he's not a good representative of my kind of jackass. So, I mean, that said.
I get you. No, I totally get that. I'm a jackass half the time myself.
See, we've already found common ground.
Good to see you, Joseph. Looking good, baby.
John, are you here?
Yes.
So, it turns out that I'm not a really good Christian, and I decided to leave Christianity. So Reuven was right.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Where are you headed now, Lindsay, theologically?
I don't know, I guess I'm just a theist.
That seems to be the standard transition.
But I want to believe in, like, Abraham's God, because that's the God that I basically have the gym with. But I disagree with him so much, I don't know what to do.
Well, there's Gnosticism.
What did you say? Gnostic.
Gnosticism.
And what god are you believing in there?
Gnosticism is basically a heretical offshoot of Christianity, at least when we're describing Christian Gnosticism. There's also Persian and Syrian Gnosticism, which is a bit of a different thing. But there's a lot of related ontological and metaphysical questions that are posed within Gnosticism. Kind of a general understanding of how the Gnostics, or at least most Christian Gnostics, see their religion. They actually believe that the Orthodox Christians, the Orthodox in the sense of the church, are following a false god. They use the term demiurge or demiurgos to describe a false deity, and that they believe there's a higher deity above that. There's a lot of similarities with Christian Gnosticism and Neoplatonic philosophy. Excuse me. So it's definitely worth studying the period from the early Hellenistic on to the late early Christian period. But the thing is, obviously, most Christians consider it not just heretical, but outside of Christian context, because many of the extra biblical texts, Gnostic Gospels, and however you want to put it, were written after the fact. A lot of times, 100 to 200 A.D.
There's an author named Elaine Pagel, Pagel, and she's written a few books on the subject.
She's Episcopalian, but she's actually quite good.
You know what? I read one of her books a long time ago, but I know that she's very accessible.
Is there a way to get Sheik's audio up a bit there, Reuven, or could Sheik turn himself up?
I'm up. That's as loud as it'll go.
Okay. Thank you.
Should I log off and log back on?
No, it's probably. I think it is something that Reuven may be able to bump up a bit.
Well, you know that Reuben. He'll just cause trouble.
He'll turn you off, is what he'll do.
And could you blame him? You look like you're in the BioShock thing. Whatever that filter is, it's really cool.
Well, it's the old movie filter and cam twist with a light.
It looks like you're looking at me from the other side of a glass of orange juice, or lemonade, or a dirty martini.
I like the effect with the light bulb.
You like that, Dave?
Oh, the flickering. That's sick.
Hey, Jello, how are you?
Oh man, pretty well medicated. How are you, sir?
I haven't slept since midnight, not last night, but the night before, and I'm having trouble at this point. I might go to the emergency room. I'm thinking about it.
Because you can't sleep?
Yeah,
No,
that sounds like awful insomnia.
I have horrible insomnia.
What do they do? Shoot you up with some Valium?
Exactly. Yeah, but it just makes me. I don't know what they'll do this. I don't know. I hope I can go to sleep. I have a problem when I lay down. My blood pressure goes up a little bit. They're not sure why. There's a sleep clinic at Northwestern that I did, and they identified it. My mom has the same thing.
Oh wow.
My doctor gave me blood pressure pills to help me sleep at night.
It makes sense.
Have you talked to your doctor about?
Yeah, I've been dealing with this for 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And sleeping pills just make me really drowsy and groggy, but I don't sleep. It happens in phases for me, and right now I'm in a phase.
Try again.
Are your phases regular, like every couple of months or every couple of weeks or something?
Well, it's every couple of months pretty much, but they're sort of, I can tell when it's coming on, but it's not like predictable in like a cycle or like a duration usually. But I can tell when it's coming on. I know, it sucks. And I don't drink alcohol or do any drugs.
Maybe that would help.
No, I'm an alcoholic, dude.
Oh, never mind.
I haven't had a drink since 1991.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that actually was part of the was a problem for me because of my sleep, actually. And I couldn't sleep when I drank. Depending on what I drank, I think. You know, different drinks affect us differently, I think. Like if I drank beer, I'd get hyper. If I drank like scotch, I'd mellow out, but I wouldn't sleep.
All alcohol affects me the same way, except tequila. I always end up naked, waking up in someone else's lawn.
You end up waking up naked on somebody's lawn?
Tequila hits me hard.
That's amazing.
Huh. Tequila made me aggressive.
Do what?
Tequila made me aggressive.
Yes.
You dance like Pee Wee Herman also, Grant?
Oh, man. I can't tell you. Yes.
So are we discussing anything of particular import?
Just your health.
Your health
Okay,
is fine,
can I offer a subject, something that I've been thinking about and actually working on?
Good.
I've been studying a little bit how people become codependent with those that they are in conflict with. And I was wondering if any of you identify that, where there's a need to stay in conflict because it serves a need that person has psychologically.
I see that happening on the Hangouts all the time.
No. Never.
I see people that go that way and people that go the exact opposite way, just want to remove that conflict permanently.
You see it continuously on YouTube, people that get involved in vlog wars.
Well, I was thinking more about like the whole Richard Raspberry thing with the people from England, because they've been arguing the same argument for a couple of years.
Who?
I think that's a little more
Raspberry
personal. I think though that's a little more personal. There's like other elements surrounding those situations
But
aside
Joseph,
from Hangouts.
you're right. It is more personal. But you know what? At what point do you not bait each other anymore?
But you're right though, Sheik. People like conflict. That's the
Oh,
thing.
and you know what? You said something about this too, I think. Did you touch on this?
Yeah, I made a little rant video, and me and Christopher Motti and Stizer just had like a hangout about it last week. But yeah, I'm with you there, and I don't like it, man. It's annoying still. Like people are arguing over nothing.
This is the thing, Joseph. I really have been working hard to improve myself in Hangouts because I think I was doing that a lot. You know, I was getting really angry in Hangouts, and there was something in the chemistry in my like physiology that just triggered me, and because I've been trying to understand it better, I've been more aware of it when it's happening, and I've been able to like intervene and stop it, and I'm very, very happy about that.
Awesome.
That's good.
That's the only way that I can make anything change is by changing myself.
Yeah.
And, right.
That's
And,
where it all begins. It begins with you, right?
oh
And then
yeah,
when
very
when you
much.
can do it yourself, and then you can, you know, kind of emulate that behavior.
You
Other people will pick
demonstrate
up on it, right? And then
exactly. And I didn't know. You know what? I'm 50 years old, and I am just learning this, and it's like fucked up to me. I can't believe that this is something that so many people have just grown up to understand, and that to me it's like a foreign language.
Well, that's exactly what it kind of comes down to, is a lot of what you see in the way that people argue, the way that people debate and interact with one another, whether it's offline or online, has a lot to do with how they developed as people when they were, when they were children.
Right.
You study a lot
Right.
of the literature and a lot of the case studies that they've been doing, especially within the last 10 or 15 years, and you're starting to see that those things they've been saying on those advertisements, the first 5 years are the most important years of a child's life, and the first 10 years are instrumental in developing their general persona. And there's also one thing, and a lot of things have actually confirmed this, that the person that you are when you're a teenager, generally your whole personality is mostly formed when you're a teenager. So when you start looking back at your own history and how you are when you were younger, you realize that that's just kind of you, but just an unrefined form of it. So you're still dealing with a lot of stuff that you were dealing with, 30 or 40 years ago.
Who is it that just spoke?
Kevin.
Kevin? You know what though? When you talked about, I think there's a couple of factors though. And correct me if I'm wrong. I could be 100% wrong. I think that there's a certain amount of, I'm trying to understand the idea of neuroplasticity and training the brain through by being present and mindful and using things like meditation to train ourselves to be able to respond and not just react to situations and to be more present. And it's really kind of cool. I've been meditating now for about a year. I would say actually about 2 years. And it's made a big difference in being able to raise my level of understanding about what objectives I'm trying to follow through on to actually bring change and to not focus on complaining about other people as much and actually just holding myself accountable. And it's not easy for a lot of people. For me, it's never been easy.
Well, nothing good is easy. The thing is, I've been saying this for years. Meditation is something anybody can do.
Well, it's free.
Yeah.
And there's all these great guided meditations like on Spotify and on iTunes. They're very easy, they're very accessible, and there's a whole range of there's a huge variety. I mean, they're great. I listen to them. I meditate in public. I never thought I'd be able to do that. I just put on headphones.
Well, that's the thing they always tell you when you really get into meditation, you take the practice seriously. If you can't meditate in public, you're probably not doing it right.
Right.
Eventually, it's an exercise. Think of it as an exercise for your mind. And the funny thing about that, and in passive awareness, things of that type, taking personal inventory, they're starting to become more relevant even in the arena of psychology and psychiatry. If you look
it's even more than that because it was brought to my attention in the sleep study, one of the sleep studies I did a couple of years ago. It's about sleep hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
The structure that you create, the rituals around going to sleep so you can get yourself tired, et cetera, and kind of train yourself to get tired for bed.
Yes. And that kind of passive awareness that meditation provides is the baseline, the foundation for a lot of behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, and they're finding that with a lot of disorders, a lot of conditions, most especially personality issues, trauma, neuroses, phobias, things like that. Obviously, they
Right.
use different terms. It's some of the most successful forms of therapy, and it's short term.
Well, it's been pretty remarkable for me. I've been reading John Kabat-Zinn, and I have taken it seriously. You know, when you the sleep issues are more of a symptom of some other stuff. Like I have ADHD really bad, so it's helped with that huge. Like all the impulsivity around ADHD, and I'm sort of bringing this up because I think there's a lot of people in the Hangouts that probably find the same types of stimulation physiologically that I experience and may not be very aware of it. And I think the Hangouts, setting aside Hangouts and discussing some of these things and making resources aware so that people can pursue, if they want to, on their own terms, information and maybe be able to help themselves. And I think that's very empowering.
Yeah, I agree definitely. The issue, though, obviously, especially with formats like these, is a lot of the impetus for these groups is debate. You know, so being able to share resources openly can be kind of difficult. But I think if we can kind of take them outside of their ideological trappings and look at them as just practical exercises, practical techniques, and resources that anybody can use, and you know, with a grain of salt, be able to absorb them and assess them, then I think, yeah, a lot of people would be helped out by that, especially here.
Maybe so. Maybe we can. Maybe I was actually thinking about this as conducting a guided meditation. Because if people do it and other people see people doing it, they're more likely to participate and not see it as silly or, you know, feel vulnerable doing it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of resistance to that, quite a bit of that. A little of my own background, I also have some sleep issues, and a lot of that is tied into long-standing psych issues. And I have been through group therapy sessions and things like that in the past to help through certain phases of some of these disorders. And I observed quite frequently when there would be guided meditation exercises in general, stretching, you would always get quite a bit of people there who felt silly, who kind of felt vulnerable, and they felt completely out of place. So the thing is with that, and it's like any class, if you think of it in terms of that, some people are going to kind of fall away. They'll find that it's just not for them, or they can't handle it. So I think the thing you got to be, if you want to do that, it's kind of like an event type deal, is just go in it saying, look, give it a try. If you don't like it, there's no, you can leave. I mean, it's not a big deal.
Well, I would tell everybody to turn their camera off so that they're not being watched.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and maybe even put up, you know, something different on the dock if they chose to.
Right, whatever they want. I think that's probably a better way of inviting participation where there's no risk of shame or whatever it is, insecurity, trust. I think it'd be kind of cool. I haven't seen anybody doing anything. You know what? I did see somebody doing that, I think. But it was more like a, I think it was more yoga-based, which is fine.
More of a yoga or Eastern-based is fine, but I do think there's something to be said about a more passive and visualized kind of meditation. For Westerners, because I mean that was a part of a lot of our cultural mindset for quite some time. The old philosophical schools were like that. obviously you had that within various churches. The idea of contemplation being what we would consider meditation, deeply being able to look at certain forms and ideas. Plato talks a lot about this. Plotinus also talks a lot about this. So I think some of that is kind of missing from some of our discourse about these subjects. So I think what you're doing could work. But
well, I haven't done it. I haven't done it
yeah.
yet. But I'm
No,
almost
I got you.
wondering. I'm almost wondering if we can, if there's people that do this professionally that would consider doing it in a conducting it in a hangout to gain some awareness of the services that they offer, or if they wrote a book, you know, a guide, any kind of a workbook might be a good thing. I just see so many people mimicking the same behaviors, and how it can really screw up a hangout. It just ruins it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think mixing it up, both things like this or casual events, some of the members of these hangouts have been doing games, playing like Cards Against Humanity. I mean, we could even jump in and play. We could even jump in and play just regular games like Scrabble and things like that. I'm just saying in the broad sense that having some variety, some different things to mix it up, this, what you're saying included, would be good to kind of offset some of that conversational stagnancy, to put it in those terms.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's also a hint of a lot of PTSD from people that maybe have grown up in a lot of chaos. I know I did. And when they get into a hangout, fall into the coping mechanism that they developed as a child, but it's 10 people, or let's say it's 5 people out of the 10 that are bringing in their coping mechanisms, and they're all different, and they conflict. I mean, it seems like it's hard to, I think it's rare to be in a hangout like this, actually, where people are just sort of hanging without people jumping on each other's back and criticizing and competing. It's like we can help each other. Now, I don't want to help Joseph at all, but you know, I'd help other people.
Well, I've been a part of a lot of groups, groups on Facebook, been a part of forums, physical groups, meetup groups, things of that nature. And the one thing that's been consistent throughout that, obviously, is good moderation. I mean, that's definitely, you know, one of the first things. But I think the ultimate goal of any kind of group setting is to have, you know, regulars, people who form a foundation of the group setting, people that have the same basic ethos that they want to take with them and promulgate to other members. So when we have, you know, 5 or 6 people in a general group setting that are the standard regulars, and we have some floaters that kind of come in, and then below that you end up having people who just come in out of curiosity, and then below that obviously you're going to have people who just are actively hostile. If the root is people who are consistently there and consistently share the same basic kind of understanding, especially if they're coming from different perspectives but still united in that same ethos, you end up having a much stronger and more flexible rooting for your group.
Oh, sure. That makes perfect sense. It lends to credibility and reliability that it's going to be there next at the stated time.
The problem is with it, with regards to that, is there's a bit of a paradoxical relationship between having a good, solid beginner group with a few close, intimate people and having more people so there's more credibility. So you're kind of juggling between those two worlds trying to find a compromise.
You know what? It can be done, though, in a way. First of all, there's no cost to doing it. So if nobody goes, there's no negative consequence. But people that are watching the hangout, if it's a public hangout, they can just do it if they want to and try it out, and maybe send a note if they'd like to be present, like in the hangout. Because whoever would be conducting the meditation would have their eyes open, they would be moderating. So they'd be able to see messages if somebody wanted to join, if it would make them feel like they're more connected to the meditation, then great. But some people might just watch it and feel like, well, nobody's bothering me, so I'm going to do it. Or I like that it's a calm message, and I like the visualization, the breathing exercises. It might be just something that could be very casual.
Well, the thing is, and what you're often conflicted with in groups like this is that, yes, it is a positive thing, you know, when something's free and open to the public, but a lot of people, that freedom actually works against you as a group owner, as a group moderator, somebody starting to get something going, because, and you see this a lot in advertisement and how it ties into sociology and group psychology. People generally act upon incentivized elements, groups.
Right. If you're charging for it, then it must be better than if you're doing it for free, then it must not be very good.
Absolutely. That's kind of how it is on my end of the spectrum here, because I have more of a spiritual philosophical frame of reference, and I'm a part of a lot of different groups, and some of them end up being in the metaphysical, esoteric. And I've seen time and time again over the years that, if it's just somebody teaching basic meditation for free, very few people show up. But if it's this big, not convention, what would be the term?
I understand what you're saying. If it's if
it's a paid workshop for yoga or a paid workshop for Reiki healing or something like that, people will go to it because it has some prestige to it. It has this look to it. It has symbolism to it. It's well advertised, and it's it has a cost to it. It has a price tag.
Well, in a hangout, I don't think you can charge people, so there's no alternative.
Well, actually you could, but I wouldn't be willing to help you with that, because depending on what you're looking at, what type of meditation you're talking about, this could not only cost you some dollars, but it could cost you your eternal soul.
Huh? See, I'm not religious, so for me, it's that's not an issue for me. But I'm willing to take that risk.
Oh, well, and like I said, when it comes down to the meditation, I meditate on God's Word. When I'm going through Scripture, or if I'm getting ready to talk on a particular subject, or if I'm getting ready to preach, I actually meditate on the Word of God. And that type of meditation is not detrimental to your eternal salvation, or it's not detrimental to you in any way, and it doesn't cost anything.
No, it doesn't.
About meditation where you're trying to get some kind of a spirit guide or something like that, then again, this could be very detrimental to you overall.
Who is it that was just speaking?
That would be me, the Christian hillbilly.
All right, Christian Hill. You're Jim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jim. I read I don't know if it was a study or an article, from one of the journals, that in an fMRI, meditation and prayer created almost identical neurological changes to the brain.
Yep, and that's quite possible. But
Yeah.
that is not what I'm talking about. Again, when a person thinks that they're praying to the Creator, or when they know that they're praying to the Creator, does that not have a beneficial response in their body? Oh, sure it does. But if a person thinks that they are doing something and that they're meditating, even though it might be meditating and taking their focus towards the dark realm, the realm of demons, things of this nature, then can that have a good effect on their MRI? Sure it could. Does that mean that that's good? Heck no, not at all.
Well,
You're describing the same event.
That isn't what the type of meditation, guided meditation that I've ever been exposed to. So.
Well, and once again, I'm sitting here listening to about 10, 15 minutes of your conversation, and I don't know exactly what type of meditation you were talking about.
These are really about breathing.
Be able to charge admission to a hangout and said you didn't think it could be done. I know for a fact it can be done. I just would not be willing to assist unless I knew more about what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty premature, I think. We're just sort of spitballing.
10-4, driver.
So your points are actually valid and much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you. I'll bill you. I'll have my people send you a bill. How's that? An invoice.
Be sure and use PayPal because I like PayPal myself.
Where are you located?
Well, I'm actually right across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm originally from eastern Kentucky. That's why I call myself a hillbilly. But you were talking about different websites. I build websites, and one of the things that you can do with a website nowadays is if you're going to have a specific location where the event is going to take place, such as a hangout, even though it would be a live event like this where you can have as many people as you like, you could actually set it up to where they came, they paid, and then immediately upon payment they would receive a link to the hangout.
Yeah, that's so far off. It's good to know that kind of an architecture exists. I wasn't aware of it.
Absolutely. So, and Reuven pointed out, can someone point out to Jim that Jews were practicing meditation before Jesus? Sir, they weren't practicing this type of meditation. Did they meditate on the Torah, on the Tanakh, on the Word of God? Sure they did. But were they looking for some kind of spirit guide? Were they looking for something
always what meditation
of the tenor of Scripture? Heck no, they were not.
Well, meditation doesn't have to be spiritually related.
I agree. It can be. It can be very. It can be basically something that you do to focus your attention on a particular task, a subject. I understand. But see, meditation can also be, and has quite often been, quite the opposite. That is, where you're taking your attention, your mental state, and trying to connect it to some type of spiritual guide, that type of thing.
Sure. Pretty cool, you know.
Oh, I enjoy meditation. Meditation is great. There's a difference between prayer and meditation, though. And again, people don't seem to understand this. You were talking about prayer and meditation bringing up the same things in an MRI, whatever. But prayer is different than meditation in that when a person like myself, if I'm going to do a talk, or if I'm going to preach, or if I'm going to meet with somebody and I know they've got some serious issues going on, I first go into the Holy Scripture trying to find something that's relative to that particular situation or that particular event, and then I go over that Scripture again and again, and I meditate on that, just basically reciting the Scripture, trying to pick out the words, the key words that are going to be focal to that particular event. And that type of meditation is different than just prayer, because when I start that type of study, I ask God, God, be a part of this. Father, help me take the direction in this. And see, this is the issue that I was referring to, because what happens is some people do the same exact type of meditation, and yet they do not know who they are calling out to. They simply say, guess what? I think I would like to have a spirit animal come and guide me down this path, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, some demon is going to walk through that open door, that spiritually open door. And now you've got some real issues.
How do you know it's a demon?
Don't go there.
Well, that's easy.
I'm sorry.
That's
Because
okay.
if they're not calling out to God, if they're not calling out to Jesus Christ, anything else outside of that would, by its very nature, be demonic.
Hey, Jim, what denomination are you?
I'm not a denomination. I'm simply a Bible-believing Christian. I believe the Bible is true and correct right from the very first verse, where it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right to the very last word of Revelation, where it says, Amen.
When you say you preach, do you preach to a congregation?
On occasion, yes, sir.
So, but what is it, more like as a guest of the congregation?
Here lately, I actually don't have a church where I'm preaching at on a regular basis. I have actually stepped in to be associate pastor. I did that for about 6-8 months at one church. I have actually spoken at a couple other little churches when they need help. I also help with different small groups, security, communion. I mean, I basically just go in and help wherever it's needed.
You're like a consultant.
No, not so much. I basically just go in, and when they need something, I help them. If I can help them by telling them what I think might help to basically reach out better, or be able to help their infrastructure, I'm happy to do so. But mainly, I'm just a servant.
You're like a free agent, is what I meant. You're right. You're not a consultant. You're like a free agent, though, because you just go where there's an opportunity or where your services are needed and requested and provide it.
Well, this last time I helped out, my dad's church, they had lost their associate pastor, and the senior pastor had already planned a trip, and so he needed somebody to help, and so I jumped in, and next thing I know, I was there for 8 months helping out. So that was a little bit much. I don't mind doing it on the short term, but that was a little bit too much.
Just out of curiosity, do you have like a degree in divinity or anything?
No, sir.
Okay, just curious. That's all.
I was always wondering that. You really don't need any kind of a certification, or it's just sort of trust.
Well, you need to be called, basically. You need to have God's call on your heart. You really need to be ordained, and ordination basically is somebody else that's already in the church structure, sees that your heart, knows you, or knows your background at least, and then the church itself and the pastor itself will pray for you in a church setting. They'll lay hands on you, and you are ordained. Now, me personally, I am ordained, and I did some study to do that. Now, do I have a degree or bachelor's, or no? I don't have any of that. Now, my son-in-law, he has a double master's from the Dallas Theological Seminary.
Wow. I live in Chicago, so I live near Moody Bible and Wheaton College.
Yeah, I would love to go and take the time to do that type of, full-on study, but at my age and having to take care of my missus, I just can't get away and justify the cost and the travel.
Oh, yeah. You could probably do it online, though.
Well, you can, but again, it's the time that really needs to be devoted to it. I've been studying Scripture for over 20 years now. I've been a preacher for, 16, 17 years, and then I've been an associate pastor on and off for, a couple, 3 years as well. So, it's one thing that I do know that God has called me to do. Now, God has put a desire on my heart here recently to do open air preaching. I'm kind of still hee-hawing around about that. I don't know exactly that I want to get into that.
I used to watch Hee Haw.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, with something Dale. No, what the hell were their names?
I don't remember either. I do remember one song, and it was "Pain, Despair, and Agony on Me." I don't remember the rest of it, but I like that part.
They had all the hot women on that show.
Well, of course, when you grow women in the hills of Kentucky, they are always going to be beautiful.
Oh, that's right. It's Nashville. That's right. It was what the hell is his name? Something Clark. Dale Clark?
I don't remember that.
Roy Clark.
Roy Clark.
Yeah, that was him.
Excellent guitarist. I actually was able to catch him one time in Kingston, New York. Awesome show.
Oh, I bet he's really good.
Oh yeah.
So you probably listen to some pretty good bluegrass, Jim.
Oh, I do like bluegrass, but I am a little bit of an eclectic when it comes to music. I like some good 80s music. I like bluegrass. There's also the Irish type of songs that I like because that's part of my heritage as well. So yeah, I'm an eclectic when it comes to music.
That's cool. Have you ever listened to the Tannehill Weavers?
You know, I don't know. I may have and wouldn't know the name of the group.
You might, if you like Irish folk music, you may really love them.
What's it called again?
The Tannehill Weavers. And you know, Irish folk music has a lot of similarities to bluegrass.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you think about it, in eastern Kentucky and actually in the hills all along Appalachia, a lot of the heritage is from Ireland and those areas. There was a linguistic study done, and you know, because when you get down there, now I do have an accent. Don't get me wrong, but this right here is very cityfied because I want you guys to be able to understand me. But if I get down home, if I'm talking to my family, you know, sometimes you'll have difficulty understanding, even though you might understand the words, you might not understand the context in which the words are being used. Because like up here, we say, it's on fire. Down there, we say, it's on far. Big difference.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation about...
Oh, no, this was great, man.
But I just wanted to kind of get a feel for what type of meditation you all were talking about.
Yeah, it's an open forum, you know. Feel free.
Well, that's what I like about these forums. I actually did one recently, one of my first ones, using the Google Hangouts. Since I used it one time after it first came out, but now it's really come a long way. Debating creation and evolution. And it was myself on the creation side, and I think I had 8 or 10 people on the evolution side, and it was quite a good conversation, good debate.
Cool. That can get pretty contentious.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I think a lot of the creationists actually do a really good job of managing that they're essentially being interrogated.
Well, and what gets me is when the creationists, they want to try and put themselves outside of what science says by saying, oh, well, God's Word says this and that settles it. Well, yes, I agree, but when we look at science, science itself is Christianity's best friend.
So you think that science points everything back to God?
Well, not everything. There's a lot of interpretation that's involved there as well.
That's, when you say that science is Christianity's best friend, is that what you're getting at?
Absolutely. When you think about it, science, how do we understand science? Science is testable, provable, repeatable, observable. So when we look at what God's Word says about His creation, well then, we can't use those parameters on God Himself. He is a spiritual being, so we can't use science to test God. Same thing is true of the creation event. We can't use science to basically test a creation event because it is a one-time event. We don't see it. But what we do see is we do see the evidence that what God says in His holy word when He says He would create these animals, and these animals would go out.
You still there?
Did he cut out? I think he cut out there.
Ah.
I think he got raptured.
Jim is cool. He's a nice guy.
He's a bit passionate.
You know what? He sure is, and sometimes it's just kind of folky, you know. He believes what he believes, and I don't think he's hurting anybody. I mean, he seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Darn it, my computer froze.
Oh, there you go. He's back. Good.
Sorry
so is
about
your
that.
father not non-denominational also?
No, well, non-denominational, I don't like that terminology. Basically, non-denominational is a denomination. I am not a denomination. I'm strictly a Christian. But what I was trying to get at is that God's Word says that all the animals that He created would procreate according to their kind. That is testable. That is provable, repeatable, observable. That is science. Now, evolution declares something quite the difference on the different side, that you would see small successive improvements and changes via these mutations over time. Well, we don't see that. That's not testable, provable, observable, repeatable.
Jim, you don't want to go there.
Sure do.
Well, it is testable.
No, Jim, you don't.
And I mean, what you're saying isn't testable. Actually, has an enormous.
Sorry, my wife.
Hello?
I'm sorry, my wife was hollering at me. Our network is having some issues, so I do apologize. Go right ahead. You were saying.
Are you guys getting bad weather, by the way?
I'm sorry?
Are you guys getting bad weather?
No, we've got some weather that's due to come in.
Yeah.
But our issues has been with Time Warner. Time Warner, as a service provider, is terrible. Sorry.
They've been praying to demons.
Very well could be. But you were saying something is testable. So
Well, they do have the Eye of Ra as their symbol, so maybe that's it, Jim.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, if you do investigate, there's a great book written by Jerry Coyne from the University of Chicago, who's an evolutionary biologist. Let me get the title. And I mean, he really lays it out in the book, the processes that have gone into the research and the testing and all. I mean, it's very, very evolved and correlates.
Evolved.
Oh yeah, there you go. And it's very developed.
Well, let me ask you a question. What is testable? What is he talking about that's provable? That's
you know
observable?
what? If you want, I do have the book, but I read it a while ago, and I don't remember. But if you'd like, I can go and find some of that stuff and get back to you.
Oh, that'd be fine. Because see, my point is this: there is nothing in evolution that is observable. Because once you start going and ask for the evidence, for the science behind what they believe, and evolution is a belief system, once you start asking for that proof, that evidence, then the first thing they say, well, 47 billion years ago. Well, no, we don't observe 47 billion years ago. We need to observe today.
No, we can observe today. We do observe today. We observe today in that's how we make viruses. I mean, that's how we make vaccines.
Mm-hmm. And so, you do understand that observation about the vaccines and making vaccines does not fit the criteria of evolution? Because once you're making those vaccines, you're actually making a vaccine based on the loss of information. See, that particular...
That's like an anti-evolution approach to evolution.
What I'm saying is again, that does not make your case for evolution. For evolution to actually be something that is observable, you would have to see one kind of animal. Let's say a dog. I see you've got a lovely animal on your dock there. So let's say you'd have to see a dog to be able to go from a dog to some other kind of animal. So let's say a cat, a fish, something else. See, and we don't ever see that. We don't ever see an increase of information where you have something in that particular genome that was never there previously.
Jim, there's no such thing as there's almost no such thing as information, though. That's the thing.
Really?
Yeah. Information is a human definition of something observed.
So, if you have your genetic code and your genetic code, your DNA and your RNA, and we kind of take this genetic code and we give it some letters, so we can understand how it conveys, again, the information from point A to point B, and that information performs a function. Why do we call it a code? Because that's exactly what it is.
That is what it is, but it's a man-made code.
So DNA is man-made?
No, DNA is not man-made, but we create the language.
The word code is analogous. It's so we can understand how it operates. It's not meant to be taken seriously as if it's an embed code that's been put there. And that's the problem with these arguments, is that people are using semantic language to switch the meanings of words so it can fit their argument, and that's not how it works. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not worried about how it works. I'm worried about that it does work. And see, information, but the very strict definition of information is you have a transmitter and a receiver. You have the information which is conveyed from point A to point B. And the reason that information can be deciphered when it hits point B and perform that function or convey that information is because there is an agreed upon language. That is what a code, that is what information does. Now, when you look at
Jim, can you take a breath? Jim, I want to Jim, I want to chime in for a second though, okay? If I am studying something that I'm observing in the wild, and I'm seeing it, and if I'm creating my own labels of that so that I can at least go back and reference the details, there's no, where is there a transmitter?
Sir, that's not what we're talking about. You're trying to actually put something together that does not work on this scenario. Let me give you an example. Okay.
Why doesn't it work?
See that on my dock? You see those letters on that? Are those letters? There's information there. There's information being conveyed there. Now, that information being conveyed, is that the letters? Is that the ink or the pixels? What is information being conveyed here? How is it being conveyed here?
It isn't.
So there's no information being conveyed there?
No.
Really?
There is information in genetics, but the thing is, it's a specific mathematical definition of information. It's not.
Well, it's almost not right. It's a very specific use of that word that doesn't, I think, apply to just like holding up a letter.
It does not apply to that.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is
actually, it does.
This
It
is a
does.
very common creationist misunderstanding. They don't know what information means in the context of genetics. If you read,
What does it
Claude,
mean?
hold on, Claude Shannon is the one that applied information theory to genetics. Read his paper. In fact, he responded to the trial, in the Dover trial on creationism, and completely smashed creationism. This is the guy that invented applying information theory to evolution, okay? Or
What's
to
his name again?
When it comes to the Dover
Claude
trial and
Shannon.
all that stuff, I could care less. What I'm talking about is
This is the guy that you're
you're trying to say that there is no information on my doc.
It's how we interpret the word information. It's what you're calling information and what I'm calling information. We're not, you and I are not on the same wavelength when we're talking about the same word.
So, when it comes to genetics, when it comes to DNA, how are we defining the information that is contained in DNA?
What do you mean by information, though, in DNA?
Okay, let me ask you a question. The arrangement of...
No, I just asked you a question.
Now, hang on a second. The arrangement of the different chemicals that are in the genetic code that perform a function, how are you defining that?
With variables.
Variables. So wouldn't God apostrophe S, wouldn't that be a variable? Wouldn't that be part of our alphabet?
Yeah, it could be. It would be a variable that I would be attaching a value to represent something specific.
Let me ask you a question.
No, I'm not going to let you ask me a question, Jim. You got to let me finish here. I want to ask you to listen instead of, because we're on different wavelengths, and I don't want it to get contentious. So I think I understand what you're saying. I approach this from an understanding and through my own education differently than you do. That's not to say that I'm more right or less right than you are. I think I'm
well, let me say something.
I think
there is no more right or less right. You're either right or wrong on this issue.
Jim, I think I'm more willing to challenge myself and not just accept. I'm constantly reading about it.
Oh, so you're willing to challenge yourself and not just accept, yet you've just accepted the definition of some professor that denies what the actual information is. Now,
how do you know that? How do you know that?
When you're looking at
I'm gonna bid you adieu and tell you to have a great night, because you said something that I don't see how you can know that. You don't know the sort where I'm getting. I named one book to you. Does that mean it's the only book that I read, or the only source?
Off you go, Sheik. go, Sheik, go.
One moment, my wife needs me in the other room. I'll be right back.
All right.
Come back, Jim. Come, I want to talk to you, Jim. Hey, is Jim a God botherer?
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. I think that he's got his script. I have my script.
No, you're a nong, mate. But is Jim a God botherer?
He's a preacher. He's a great guy. Really nice guy.
I'd like to talk to him.
Yeah, he's a very, very nice guy.
Oh, I thought you met Christian Hillbilly already, Rob.
I don't know, have I? I don't remember him. Or...
Quite honestly, I can't believe we're having this evolution creation debate again, and I think it's quite pointless.
It is quite pointless. You know what? You're right. Thank you.
Oh, shit, John, it is pointless. It's fucking it ain't pointless, mate. It's very important.
You know
Why
what,
is it important?
I'm gonna get going because I got to try and go to sleep.
John, trouble is you guys don't know how to argue it and finish it. You just go
don't know how to argue it. I have no desire, reason, or purpose to argue it. I don't have to convince anybody anything. So I really think this is pointless.
Well,
Wait, you gonna let me finish? You gonna let me finish, or you gonna go get more? Okay.
All right.
I think it doesn't enhance, you know,
You're right.
it doesn't
I
enhance
agree.
my day-to-day living at all, you know? It doesn't affect it,
Yeah,
you know?
narrow perspective. It does actually affect your
It's
day.
not for you to
You've
say,
heard.
Rob, what enhances somebody else's life.
Yeah.
No, bullshit, mate. No,
No,
you've heard
not
of the
bullshit,
argument.
Rob.
No,
Good
no,
night.
hang on.
Good
Check,
night,
check,
fellas.
check,
I'll see you later.
check, check. I thought you'd go.
You
See you,
don't,
dude.
no, see,
Look, I could have had him on toast. No, it does, mate. You heard the separation of church and state, right? That's an issue for you, isn't it?
I don't, as long as the church is not going to impose their beliefs and make any kind of government policy, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But that's not happening. That's not happening when it comes to evolution and creation.
Oh. Well, so there's not a big Christian population in America that decides your politics.
There is, but nobody's forcing any kids to be praying or believing in creation.
Do you think they give a fuck
Unless they
about
go
that?
to Christian school,
Mate,
perhaps.
John, do you think they give a fuck about that? All they care about is controlling you folks and making sure they make lots of money in the process.
Who?
They don't give a fuck
Who?
about what you put.
Who? Creationists? Who?
Anyway, no, I won't go down that track because it'll
Or
just
the
get boring.
politicians who pretend they're creationists?
Hey, mate, did Jim? I wouldn't mind talking to Jim if I could, if that's all
You
right.
asked me something, Rob. I addressed it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can just see that you're not going to budge, so it's just wasting both of your times.
Okay.
Honestly, the reason
And
why
I think it was wise for Sheck to leave. He's in a point in his life where, you know, he's being more self-aware. You know, I see the change in his demeanor in this room as just because I haven't seen him in about a month or two, and he's trying to get away from anger. You know, having that anger arise within himself and that turmoil, and so probably was the
Well,
best.
John, if he would listen to me, I could get him through all that crap in bloody a couple of sessions.
I don't even think you know what the hell he believes. Do you have any idea what he's believing?
Yeah, I kind of do actually. I've only ran into him a couple of times.
Who?
He has an overly inflated opinion of his intellect, and he needs to appreciate that that is wrong thinking. But the other thing he needs to do, well, I'd actually like to know a little bit more about the dude because there's something I don't really like about him.
We were talking about creation and evolution. Do you have any idea where he stands?
Doesn't matter, mate. It's irrelevant.
Well, it does matter because you said he was wrong. You claimed that he was wrong and you need to straighten him out. So I don't understand that one.
But that's winding him up because I know how he tries to control things.
He's not trying to control things. If anyone,
He does, mate. I've seen him at work. He
All right.
tries to dominate people's thinking. He does.
Yeah.
given what just happened,
Sounds like someone
I'm
else I
gonna
know. Sounds like someone else I know.
Yeah, but I have a good motive. I'm trying to wake you guys up. I don't want to rule your lives around. I just want you to try and look at the world without your rose-coloured glasses on.
Okay.
You know, people do really get killed in our world. There is really wealthy people that are taking the mickey out of people. Those things happen. You know, you guys you're happy suffering it. I'm not.
And what does that have to do with our conversation?
Yeah, there you go. Divert the topic. Oh, look, I don't care. I don't want to play that. You talk about whatever you want. I'm just interested in having a chat with Jim if he wants to play with me.
Well, he's right now with his wife. He'll be back in a little bit.
All right. Well, I'll keep quiet. Well, actually, are you guys planning on staying around for a bit or what?
All night.
Just going with the flow.
Yeah. All right. Well, I might go for a walk and get something to eat and come back. And if you're still around and Jim's here, just let him know I want to talk to him.
Well, I think if you want to really talk to him, he's probably gonna be scooting out in a little bit. He doesn't stay
Oh,
around too long, so you might want to stick around, wait till he comes back.
all right. Well, once I get in, you'll probably be running pretty quick anyway. Oh,
You might be right there. You might be right there.
Well,
I gotta step
hey,
out. I gotta
hey,
get a drink. I gotta get a
seeing
drink.
he's not, hang
I'm
on,
sorry.
yeah. Well, seeing he's not here, let me preempt some of his behaviours, right? And we'll see how correct I am.
Oh,
Howdy, Rob.
Oh, I'm just putting it out there.
There you go.
Oh, Jimmy, you're back.
I is back, sir.
All right, I was just going to preempt your behaviours. Jim, are you a religious man?
No, sir.
I thought you were.
No, sir. Religion is not as important to me as my relationship with Christ.
Oh, good.
Are you a lawyer, Jim?
Tell me.
No, sir. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Yeah. Hang on, Jim.
I want to know what Jesus' favorite color is. Everyone tells me they have a relationship, but a relationship usually involves some kind of intimacy. You kind of know these like little insignificant details about one another. I'm curious.
John, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. Jim.
John,
Yes, sir.
I want to
Hang on. Hey, Jim.
hear what
hang on.
John has to say.
Oh, shut up, Prescott. I want to get to. I'll be quicker than you guys. You
Hey,
guys
Jack.
dance around fucking
You
circles. So
really
hang on a minute. Hang on. Be patient. Won't hurt you.
Just
Jim,
get in the room, Rob. Let John ask the question.
shut up. Jim, tell me about
I
Christ.
am shutting up. John, ask the
Good.
question.
Jim, tell me about Christ.
I will in a second, Rob. Let John ask his question real quick. I'm going to be here for a little bit.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, good. All right. I accept that.
Go for it, John.
Go for it, John.
Oh, I think he locked up.
I gotta say, Jim, I know.
Yin and Yangy is not yinging and yanging no more.
Oh, dear. Well, Jim, do you want to start while we're waiting for him? Just tell me about how you understand Jesus.
How I understand Jesus. Jesus is God in the flesh. Jesus is the creator of the universe. Jesus is the one who died for our sins. Jesus is the only way to the Father. By him, through him, for him, all things were created. I could go on for a long, long time, but that gives you the basics.
Yes, it does, mate. Thanks for that. I understand your point, I think. Now, quick question. Old Testament, where do you sit with Old Testament? Just a general position?
Well, I read it the way it's supposed to be read. When it's written in a historical narrative, that's the way I take it. When it's written in a metaphorical narrative, that's the way I take it.
Okay, and I understand that. I understand that point of view. So if I said to you the book of Isaiah is a fabrication, you would tell me I'm wrong?
Yes, sir, I would.
Good, okay, good. Just trying to find out the scope of where you're at before I... well, what I'd like to do, right? Now, do you believe that your religion gives you courage, genuine courage?
No.
Okay. Are you a man that's afraid?
God gives me courage.
Okay, good. But would you regard yourself as someone, like, let's say there was an injustice in your community, would you be the guy that stands up and does something about it?
Yep.
Good man. Okay. I'm just starting to get to know you, that's all.
Not a problem, sir. Not a problem.
Now, I want to preface it. I'm going to make a statement. I don't want you to... I only want you to hear it. and then we'll just get back on track because it's important to me, because I value you as a human being, right? Whether you believe it or not. Now, Jesus is a real person, and Jesus really knows humanity extremely well. That, to me, at least in my worldview, is a fact. Now, what else can I say?
I'm going to say, from my point of view, Jesus is a real person. I agree wholeheartedly. And he doesn't just know humanity very well. He knows it intimately. He knows the good, the bad. He knows exactly what people will do. He is omniscient. He is the almighty creator of the universe.
All right, yeah, okay, Jim, I understand that perspective. But in part, now, another thing that's important between you and I is this. Sorry, question first. So, with you, do you find that what you know, or sorry, believe about Jesus and the Bible and all that is validated in your life experiences? So, something that you really experience?
Yep.
Okay, I don't deny that either. Right? So, if you and I pushed aside all of the biblical stuff, there would be a common ground found in our life experiences that we would acknowledge. You know, certain things about the good folk and the bad folk and all of the rest of that we could experientially see. Things of virtuous nature, we find agreement. Right? So, I just want you to know those things because that is part of our reality. Now, so there is common ground. But, now this is where it's going to get interesting, Jim, and you may well depart from us. We'll see how you go, but we'll test you out. It'll be useful for this discussion, Jim, that we stay on point and that we deal with, you know, try and keep it down to one point at a time. So when you feel that there's a point you want to address, just say so, and then we'll stop and we'll just discuss that point through. For my part, I'm going to provide you with my evidence for any points I make. Sometimes that can be fucking long-winded, pardon the French. Now, I don't worry about swearing too much because Jesus, in my, although, you know, it's not something for the kids, we shouldn't swear, but I'm using it tactically and it's becoming a bit of a habit. But Jesus was on about blasphemy or lying, so being untruthful is not a good thing, except if you're talking to a Pharisee. You can cheat on those buggers because they're crooked people. Now my scope of expertise runs from the book of Isaiah through to Constantine the Great, so I'm going to stay within that context. But I will just add that no, I'm going to just stay with the book of Isaiah. So, I'm going to say to you, Jim, I'm going to ask you a question first. Have you read Isaiah 40:22?
I've read the whole book.
Okay, good. Now, Isaiah 40:22 gives us a little passage that's supposed to talk about Yahweh sitting enthroned above the circle of the earth. Are you familiar with that passage?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is that Yahweh that's being referred to there the entity that you know as God?
Are you talking about Yahweh?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I mispronounced it, but we're talking about the same thing.
Well, yes. God sits on his throne, and again, this is for our interpretation. This is not a literal, he doesn't have a big chair that he sits up on in the heavens. This is for our interpretation. And he sees the circle of the earth hanging on nothing.
That's not quite accurate, but anyway, let me get the passage so that the rest of the room can see it, because I know that you very well. I'm trying to be polite, so that we can sustain the conversation a bit longer. But the way you represented it's not quite accurate, and I'll just show clearly why.
I don't have my Bible out in front of me, but let me pull it up.
Yeah, go ahead, mate. Please do. Please do. Please do. I'll just find the passage if I can here. I'll do it this way. I'll Google it. Okay, I found it here. Now, I don't know which bloody version of the book this is, but if you've got a version issue, then we'll deal with that when it comes up. So here comes the passage, literally, from the book.
Oh, my computer's just giving me issues today. What verse was that again? 43 what?
40, 22 from Isaiah. So I'm going to read it to the group while you grab it. So 40:22 says, yeah, 40:22 says he sits enthroned, and you're saying to me that might be metaphorical, above the circle of the earth. And the way you phrased it, mate, to be blunt, you were trying to suggest that that was a global earth. It's not. The way it was literally written was because the context that the people of Judea, just the ordinary folk, the way they thought of their world was that it was a flat disc, flat earthers at that point in time. So it's about, oh, hang on. Hey, could I pause things for a minute? I need to speak to Jello. Jello? Jello? Nah, he's still upset with me. That's like, or else he dropped out. Anyway, right, so he sits above the... Hey, what?
It was just a coincidence.
Okay, all right. Oh, I'll take it as that. He'll be back then. He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth. Now, they fair dinkum, mate. In those days, they were flat earthers. They didn't know it was a globe. So there's an immediate question that goes to the authenticity of these writings. Because if it's written and it's through God's inspiration through Isaiah, he should be reporting a globe. But let me continue. It goes on to say, and its people are like grasshoppers. Well, you could imagine, right, a snow-domed version of the world, the firmaments stretch from corner to corner, right, and Yahweh sitting on top of his, or Yahweh is sitting on top of it, whoever, on a throne, enthroned. Now, there's really a very important reason why they use the term enthroned too, which we'll get to in a minute. But anyways, so you could imagine him sitting up there. If he was looking down at people, they'd look like little grasshoppers. So that's a fair analogy. Now, it says he stretches out the heavens like a canopy. Yes, well, that's true. That's how they thought it was. That's what the canopy is, what they call the firmament. And he spreads them out like a tent to live on. Now, that's important too, because, you cannot use an analogy of a tent for something that covers a globe. But you can use the analogy of a tent, with four corners. If you thought about your world,
why would you be able to use an analogy of a tent to cover a globe?
Well, I haven't seen one, mate. Have you?
I haven't seen $1 million, but I know it exists.
So you're saying to me that we can build tents that we can wrap around a globe? Is that what you're sort of trying to suggest?
Sir, God created the heavens and the earth. He spoke it into existence. Do you think he's going to have any by giving us this example? Hang on a second. You think he's going to have any problem by giving us this example that he has stretched out this particular tent to give us an example? No, sir, that's not going to be an issue at all. I mean, do you have a real problem with the scripture?
Jim, you're misbehaving already. Now, this is part of the behavior, because what's...
I mean, you're sitting here going on
Yes, you are.
Pick something and let's talk about it.
No, Jim, hang on, I need to point something out, because this is what's... You're going to get a lot of this, right? If your courage is good...
I can still hear you. Keep going.
All right, mate. All right. Now, what's going to happen with Jim, there'll be a lot of these behaviours, right, where can't help himself. He'll want to jump in and talk away from topic. But I think if we're going to make progress here, we've got to stay on point. So at the moment, the point is 40-22, and just having a look at its structure. If he tries to divert away from that, that's diversionary behaviour, and that's because he's got two ideas in his mind now, and I guarantee you, represent a very strong threat, and that's why I preface the conversation to Jim, because I do care about his well-being. I want him to realise that the place that I live in, the real world, is much better than his fantasy world. But anyway, we wait till he comes back. Sorry, I'll read some of your comments. What are you saying now? I'm going to call you guys the norms, right? Because to me, us special folks with abilities, you're a pain in the ass sometimes. You're lucky I'm patient. Now, where are we?
Otherwise.
Hey?
Otherwise.
What's that, mate?
Otherwise.
Oh, you want me to leave?
No, you said we're supposed to be happy that you're patient. Otherwise.
Well, otherwise, here, John. I know you don't believe me, but
rejoice, for the Lord our God is good, and His love endures forever. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, no, wait a minute. Hey, Jim, you understand justice, don't you?
Sure do.
I know you do. I know that about you already. Now, injustice, doesn't that require you to take on injustice?
Mm-hmm, sure does. If I have the ability to do so, and if it's within my scope.
Yeah. Well, I have the ability to cancel your Christian church, and it is within my scope, and that's what I'm going to...
ability to what?
To cancel your Christian church.
To cancel a church? What?
Yeah, no, I'm joking, mate. I'm being quite serious with you. I have it. Oh God, we got bloody John May coming in. I have it within my ability to cancel the Christian church, and I intend to do it.
Now, you're saying literally that you have the ability to cancel the Christian church.
Yes.
Okay. Now I know why you're wearing that hat. Okay.
No, there's a reason, Jim. There's a reason I've got the hat on, right?
Yeah, I can tell the reason.
I remember
you got the hat on. That's no biggie.
No. But you can't. Hey, Jim, you can't make shit up. Just because it's in your head doesn't mean it's real. No, hang on, Jim. You can't make shit up. Just because it's in your head doesn't make it real, right? It doesn't work that way.
Hey, just because you're wearing a hat doesn't make it real.
It only works that way for Rob.
Yeah.
Jim. Dougie, you'll get over it, mate. Jim.
Attacking is not gonna get you heard.
I know what I'm doing.
Hey, Rob.
Hang on, Jim.
Hey, Rob.
Jim,
hey, Rob.
Jim, wait.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob.
I got a bad
Jim,
connection. I'm
Hey, Rob.
sorry.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Rob.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate.
Thank you. That's what I wanted, was silence.
I won't go away, mate. I won't go away until that church is closed down. So don't worry about that.
Hey, it ain't gonna happen, buddy. As a matter of fact, I'm about to go plant me a few more.
Good luck, buddy. They won't.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But luck is not involved when it comes to the creator of the universe.
You don't even know what God is, mate, and I do.
Sure do. I
No,
know
you
what
don't.
God is.
No, Jim, you just said to me before you believe that it's Yahweh. That it was
Yahweh.
That's
Yahweh.
all right. Whoever, mate, but that's not...
No, it's not whoever. It's extremely important that you understand that it's not Jawah, it's not Boogity Boo, and it's not Buddha, it's not Allah, it's not Muhammad, it is Yahweh. If you're going to talk, speak the words Yahweh. If you're going to talk about the God of creation, Yahweh. If you're going to talk about Jesus, it's not Jesus, it's Jesus, okay? So let's keep our words meaning what they're supposed to mean. Words are very important. Do you understand, and do you agree with that, Rob?
No, fuck
you don't think that words are important, Rob? Rob, do you not believe that words are important?
No, but Jim, I
Rob,
believe
do you
this.
believe that words are important? Rob, do you believe, Rob, that words and their definitions and what they define and what they point to are important? Do you believe this, Rob?
Jim, I know that you understand what I say.
Rob, do you agree that words and their defining properties are important?
Rob, just answer the question so we could go move on here. Very simple, yes or no. Do you believe that words are important and they know the definition? Yes or no?
I know that game, mate. No, I know that game and I won't play it.
Yes or no?
Do you agree that words and their defining properties are important?
I like the change you make. You use the term agree. Now,
I've said that for the last 15 times. Do you agree that words and their properties are important?
All right, God. We can't
no,
keep going
but
back.
I can answer his question if you'll allow me to answer it, John. I can answer it.
Well, just about just
Are you
addressing
going to answer it?
Address Yahweh.
Yeah, okay, well,
We're dealing with words.
No.
We're dealing with words. We're dealing with words, and the word is Yahweh. The password is Yahweh. Please address that.
but Jim knows what I mean. It's academic.
No. We're not going. It's not academic. It's important.
Hey,
if I was to call you Boar instead of Rob, you would not like that either. Now, let's go ahead and define the properties of the words that we are using. Again, if you say left and you mean right, there's a big distinction there. Now, are the words that we are using going to be important or not?
As long as we understand each other and agree on the understanding.
Are they going to be important or not?
Hold on, Rob. Rob, you got to turn down your speakers. We're getting echo.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Now define Yahweh. How are you doing that?
I'm not asking him to define Yahweh. I'm asking him if the words that we are going to be using in the purposes of this discussion are important or not. Because if he's going to say right and he means left, there's no sense in continuing this conversation.
Okay. I think he said yes.
Yeah. Now, what I heard there, I know what Jim's doing because I understand him better than he thinks I do.
Really?
He's looking for a way to get into the conversation already.
I'm not looking for a way out.
Yes, you are, Jim. Jim, you're looking for a way to run.
Conversation.
Jim, you have no courage. You have no courage, and your God concept.
Listen, guys, you gotta bring down your volumes here because.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you guys going back and forth is bad enough, but I got to hear it echoed. I mean, it's ridiculous.
How's that?
Much better, thank you.
Is that okay or not? Okay, my apologies.
It's really not that much better.
Still getting it, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just wear your headset on.
Yeah, it's not that much better at all. I can still hear him.
Yeah, man, you have it with you too, I think.
Yeah, but here's the point, guys. Even apart from
we're going to fix the problem before you continue.
You're all looking for outs.
Try my patience.
Anyway. Oh, mate. You need patience. It's a good thing. It's a virtue. You don't get it by bloody running away from it, mate. You face it.
I am facing it here.
No, you're not, mate. You want to run away. You're like Jim. But anyway, sorry.
I'm not running away.
How am I now? Am I no good? Am I still no good or not? How am I now?
Good.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it at that volume. And then you can tell me if it's a problem. Now, what Jim was talking about, he understands what I mean when I say Yahweh, Yahoo, whatever. But it brings up an interesting question. What is this thing called Yahweh? Well, it's not correct. It is absolutely not correct to say that that is God. Period. And I can tell you exactly why that is a misnaming or a misrepresentation of this thing called God. And I'm happy to do that. But we must stay on point, Jim. Can't have you ducking around trying to run and hide away and hide behind your bullshit stories. And I acknowledge that there's good myth in your Bible. Don't worry about that. But if it's bullshit, I'm going to tell you. What happened? Everyone run away?
He left, didn't he?
Hey, who left?
Oh no, he's still there.
Jim's here. No, he's here. But he will eventually. He'll look for a way out. That's what they do.
See, Rob.
Jim, sorry.
You should develop a strategy that will most effectively deliver your message to people, and not make them want to leave the hangout.
No, that's not my problem, mate. That's you normal people. I don't have those.
You have to have a successful strategy if you want to be successful.
Well, it works simple. It's simple, right? It's the one I've used most of my life. You listen to what I've got to say. You don't interrupt me, and then when I'm done, then you have your say.
But you don't give people the same courtesy, Rob. You interrupt constantly.
Doug, you're not acknowledging that I can actually read the play early, so I can save us time. I actually do know when we're heading down.
Oh, so it's okay for you to interrupt.
It's true, Prescott. Hey, sorry.
He's got his little placard, his little free parking placard, so he can.
Yeah. So Rob, if I know where you're headed in your line of reasoning, can I cut you off too?
Yes, you may, but you'll need to explain where we're heading, which I will do the same for you.
Why not just follow Google Hangout etiquette and let people finish, and then tell them where they're wrong?
Have you not noticed, mate, how much trouble our world's in?
I think, Rob, that it's better to just follow the etiquette of Google Hangouts than. I mean, look at this.
No, answer the question. Doug, you're ducking again. Doug, answer the question. Have you not noticed that the world's got some issues?
Yes, but you cutting people off 30 seconds early is not going to save the world, Rob.
Well, it might actually, if you just sort of try it for a change.
Because it's going to make people upset, and then they're not going to be open to your message. Haven't you experienced that dozens of times in these Hangouts already?
Yes, yeah, and I've been working it out, and I think I've got a good strategy now.
How many people have you
convinced? Play by my strategy.
How many people have you convinced, Rob?
Sorry?
How many people have you convinced with your strategy?
It's getting there. It's coming along.
It's getting there.
Well, it is, John. John, hey, no, hang on.
Rob, you know, I have a prediction. You like prophecies, right, Rob? You like prophecies.
Not really. I hate it.
You like to deal with prophecies. Here's a prophecy.
No.
Oh, good God. I had enough.
I told you, mate. That's what happens with noise.
Yeah, but you know, Doug, you have a thick skull, Rob. You really do. Doug is trying to.
No, mate, it's not me, John. It's not me. Seriously, it is actually.
John, it is. Kick him out, please. Kick him out. I'm done.
John.
I'm done.
I see ya. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I block him? Like, I don't want to fuck your guys' hangouts up, but I'm so. I mean, I've given Rob every courtesy, and it's just like, I can't take it anymore.
You and fucking 1,000 other people can't either.
But I won't block him if it's gonna fuck your guys' like hangouts up. That's what I don't want to do.
I think what happens is if you block him, then he actually gets into one of these hangouts. You can't get in because he was in a hangout after I blocked him for a while, and I
don't want to be in it if he's in it. That's why I came here.
Then it works.
And he came here and followed.
There we go.
If anyone's going to cause me to meditate more, it's going to be Rob.
I tell you what, I'll meditate on that one. I have no problem answering questions and debating with people. It's all good. But when you won't answer a simple question, when you continue to use an analogy or a definition that is we both agreed it is wrong, yet you continue to use it, there's something wrong with that. And
that's Rob's MO, man.
You know, and see, now everybody wants to block Rob, and this was the very point I was trying to tell Rob about my prophecy. Is that Rob? Yeah. Rob, if you're gonna continue on this road, you're gonna be sitting in a room talking to yourself.
I think that happens to him more than we know.
Fucking hell. Albert Einstein would be rolling around in his grave if he heard fucking Beasley talking that last hangout. Oh, fuck.
I think the only person he does listen to is probably his wife.
I don't know. I don't know the relationship there. It's got me fucked. I've been trying to work that one out.
Oh, he's scared of her.
That's fucking 2 hangouts today that he's been booted from. It was 4 on Friday, 2 today. Oh, fuck. Yeah, we still got fucking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to go. Oh, my God. Oh, fucking hell. What's going to happen?
Oh, man.
Oh, fucking Beasley. Hey, Doug, you're from Australia, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Do I sound like I'm from Australia?
Drink. What do we got there in the fucking... Well, I'll have that shit on the top shelf.
Oh, my scotch and... yeah. Sorry, those are all empty.
John May, what the hell are you drinking if you think that Doug is from Australia?
I want whatever he's drinking.
I like the bottles, though. I make things out of bottles, and I've got some really cool-looking bottles, but just by collecting. Heck, I made the mistake of telling my friends that I'm making things out of glass bottles, out of wine bottles, out of not just plain white glass bottles, but if you've got something that's a colored bottle or a unique shape, bring it on over. I'd like to make something out of it. I made the mistake of putting out there on Facebook. I have over 1,500 friends. My basement is freaking full of empty wine bottles. Somebody comes over here, they're going to think I'm a big drunk. And I think I've made 12 bird feeders.
Is this becoming like a side business for you?
No, not really. My side business is basically I like to build websites for people. I put together small networks for companies. And I also help out up at the local school. I do short bus trips. I help out with the mentally challenged, getting them back and forth.
Hey, you got some samples of sites that you built?
Yes, you can go to A Mortgage Source, all one word, amortgagesource.net. And then, of course, there's mine, christianhillbilly.com, which is a simple blog.
amortgagesource.net. Why would you use that name?
That was the name of his company. Back in the day when he established the company, you wanted to be at the top of the phone book or wherever you were going to be. And so it's simply, the name of his company is A and then Mortgage Source. So, of course, your letter A, you're at the top of the list.
I'm okay. I got you. I thought it was your...
No, I built it for a gentleman.
I thought this was your site.
No, my website is christianhillbilly.com.
Okay.
I'm working on one right now for oh shoot, it's a recovery house. It's called the Bliss House, and it's a recovery facility for women that are trying to recover from either drugs or alcohol. I also like to make things out of wood. I just started doing that, and that's a lot of fun. I found some old church pews at the last church I was helping out at. They basically were falling apart, so I took the pieces home. I've been piecing them back together, and what I'm going to do, instead of them being 12-foot long church pews, I'm going to take them, repair them, cut them down, and they're going to be basically two-seater church pews that are going to be on my front porch. So I'm going to have like church pew love seats on my front porch when I get done. I've also made a few things for my wife as well. She does scrapbooking and card making and stuff.
How do I block someone? Oh, never mind. I just found out. My first block ever. I wonder how many blocked cherries Rob has popped.
I imagine there's been a few with Rob.
Man, where is everybody?
Well, I think it's Sunday night, but they, they're not used to it being a holiday tomorrow. I know I'm not used to it. I'm looking forward to sleeping in though.
Yeah, me too.
Was supposed to go to church on Thursday, and then we had a wedding to go to. So we were just going to make it up by going to church today, of course. And then I had an update on my Galaxy 4S. Now, if your alarm goes off and you pick it up and look at it, and then you turn it, or if you put it back down with its face down, it turns the alarm off.
What?
Yeah. I mean, you pick the phone up and its alarm going off, and you hit snooze. Then you put it, as long as you put it down on its back, it's fine. The snooze will go off. But you put it down on its face, the alarm doesn't go off. And so
that's a bug, right? Like that's.
I don't know. I talked to the young lady that sold me the phone because she was the one that got married, and I saw her this afternoon. I said, "Hey, my alarm didn't go off," and she was telling me about that. That could be the problem. And I'm like, "Well, that has got to be the dumbest thing I ever heard of." But yeah, I was supposed to get up at 8:30. Strolled out of bed at 11. So we missed church today.
It'd be cool to just have it where you could turn the phone on space and that'll be your snooze button. Instead of trying like, you're half asleep looking for that little button, just turn the phone over. I think it'd be a lot easier.
Well, I've got it set now. It does have the voice feature where you can tell it to snooze and it'll snooze. But I have a CPAP machine, so I'm saying that underneath my mask and it's like so it doesn't work all the time.
How long have you had sleep apnea?
Oh, golly, I've probably had it 15, 20 years, but I only recently did something about it about 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
it got to the point where I was having reflux, and I would wake up in the middle of the night basically just choking on my own acids, and
That's
it was,
painful.
it was nasty.
Yeah.
Well, and I was trying to work around it.
That could be diet.
Well, that is part of it. But I also, unfortunately, it is a hereditary thing. I mean, if you were to look at my stature and look at my father's stature, my grandfather's stature, my great-grandfather's stature, on my dad's side of the family, we all look exactly the same. And my doctor did tell me to get into shape. I told him, hey, doc, pear is a shape. He was not impressed.
Jim, do you eat apples?
Yes, but not on a regular basis.
Yeah, eat some more apples. That'll do wonders for any reflux.
Well, that, and also I was kind of shocked to hear this, that also eating pineapples helps as well.
There you go.
Not the kind that comes out of the can full of all that sugar. You got to get a real pineapple and cut it. But, I mean, it does amazing things. But since I've been on my CPAP, I tell you what I used to do. I used to try and work around it. I would go pick up my kids from school, and I would intentionally get there about 45 minutes early so I could kick the seat back, roll the windows down a little bit, and take a little nap before they got out of school. And I would wake up to people looking in the car going, what in the heck is making all that noise in that car? So, yeah. But since I've got the CPAP machine, my life has just vastly improved. I have so much more energy, don't have the reflux anymore.
Yeah.
And when I went on the last kids event, they had a kids outing up here at one of the local parks, and I had like 40 kids I was taking care of in this big old dorm. I was the dorm dad, and so I kept telling them I was Darth Vader, and so I'd have that mask on and just be breathing. And then in the morning, I'd tell them to pull my finger, you know, the oldest joke in the book, and those kids don't know nothing. So they're pulling my finger right and left, and I told them, I said, hey, the air had to go somewhere.
I'll be back in a bit. I gotta get a drink. I gotta get the garbage out to pick up tomorrow morning.
Recovery takes a little while.
Well, I guess I'll be back in a bit, too. I need to go walk the dog for one final time. We got us a little French bulldog, and I fought my wife for 8 years. I did not want to get a dog. Finally, I gave in, and we got us a little French bulldog. Nice little dog. Weighs about, well, when we first got her, she weighed almost 20. Now she weighs about 10. But I told my wife, I said, this will be all right. If it doesn't work out, I told her, I said, I'm going to call her Crockpot. She goes, Crockpot? What are you going to call the dog Crockpot for? I said, because I'm from eastern Kentucky, and if it doesn't work out, that's exactly where that dog's going, in the crock pot with enough barbecue sauce. We will eat anything. But darn dog, I love the thing to death. I couldn't. It's like, you know, that's why I didn't want to get one to begin with, because you fall in love with one, and then when something happens to it, it's just like losing a member of the family. So now I've got another one. But I'll be back in a bit.
All right, Jim. How are things, Doug?
Good.
Yeah.
Had a really good. My band played a gig up at a really pretty spot in California today, like an hour north of me on the coast, on Highway 1, which is like a really scenic roadway in California.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
How many in the band?
There were just 4 of us today. Our harmonica player has got bladder cancer really bad.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's actually down in Los Angeles area getting surgery.
Oh, wow. Hope that goes well.
Yeah. He has to have this thing where he already had the bladder cancer, he did all the treatment, They thought it got rid of it all, but I guess it came back, and so they want to go and remove the bladder, remove all the lymph nodes around the area, and then they're going to do this thing where they're going to take part of his large intestine and create like a bladder essentially out of it. Yep. Except he's going to access it through a permanent hole in his abdomen. Oh, so wow. when it fills up, he'll have to stick a tube in there and pump the urine out. So he's not going to have a fun time after that.
No. Take a little adjusting, I would think.
Yeah.
Wow. So now, what do you play in the band?
I play drums.
Okay. My brother played drums for years. He started having to deal with carpal tunnel in his wrists, and hasn't played
playing drums.
Well, I'm not. I'm guessing that it's probably from his work. He does a lot of IT work, and so I'm guessing that that's probably the cause of the problem. And it's just, and when he's playing, it just aggravates it. So
yeah. The other thing that's really important in drumming is if your wrist technique is bad, you can actually hurt your wrists pretty easily.
Sure. Yeah.
Like a lot of people grab the stick and they don't let their wrist move. So when the stick hits the drum, the wrist just stays stiff like that.
Exactly.
And your wrist is absorbing all that shock. You want it to bounce freely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's okay.
I was just going to say a lot of drummers get wrist and elbow and shoulder injuries from bad technique.
Yeah. He was trained by a jazz player. So that's... And was... I mean, his teacher, a lot of his students were chased down by a lot of the universities.
He probably knew what he was doing then.
Yeah, so it's a good teacher, but yeah, so he was a pretty good player, but just hasn't really been able to play for the last, I think, probably about 5 or 6 years now.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Must run in the family because I play keyboards, but since I had my stroke a couple of years ago, my right hand has kind of been compromised a bit, so now I have to start working on getting that back in shape for playing. I got a lot of use for like writing and stuff like that, but some of the finer motor skills that you need for playing still need to work on that. So,
can you like kind of relearn that?
Well, that's what I'm going to try.
Yeah.
It was too many strokes, and so the damage certainly wasn't as bad as a lot of people who have strokes. So I got off easy that way. But it took me about a year to be able to fill out my pay card with or my daily pay sheet with work. Without having a lot of pain in my hand, just from the effort that it took to try and write the letters and everything. So,
wow, it's a bummer.
Yeah, but it's a lot better now. And so I brought up the piano here a couple of weekends ago up to my place, and so I'm gonna start working on some exercises and scales and stuff. So.
Yeah, I'd give it a shot. I mean, I've heard that you can relearn a lot of that stuff, or your brain can kind of figure it out again.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's done a pretty good job of relearning a lot of the stuff that I lost after the stroke. But yeah, getting into the finer stuff like playing guitar and playing keyboard. Anytime that I tried to sit down at the keyboard before, it was just timing and everything was just like so sloppy, like just like getting the hand to hit notes. And there's still even when I'm picking up plates and glasses with my right hand, I can't pick up a glass of liquid with my right hand because the more that I think about not spilling it, the more tense my hand gets and the more it shakes. It's just something that it's going to take time.
Yeah. Well, maybe we did need Robin here, just to have somebody to listen to.
Oh. Paying attention. Heading towards 1 o'clock for me.
Where do you live at?
Nova Scotia, Canada. So I'm way out in the Atlantic, out in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yep. How do you like living there?
I like it. The weather is not too extreme, and occasionally, while we might get a bad winter like last winter, which was a lot longer than we're used to having, it started last week of November, and right into April, we're still getting snow, which is unusual. But
for it to go that late.
What's that?
For it to go that late.
Yeah, or even for it to start that early.
Oh.
Because we've seen winters where we've never seen anything until after the 1st of January, and never see any snow after the middle of March. So that's a good winter for us. But yeah, I like it.
Jim left.
Yeah.
We're slowly dwindling. I haven't seen Nadia around in a while.
Yeah, now I've seen her on the message, on Google Message. She's been following messages on there, so she's not too far away.
Oh, the chat thing?
Yeah. Well, I may have to call it a night myself and enjoy getting some sleep.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Last night I went to bed about 10:30 and then got up at 2 for John's hangout.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
Is that all the sleep you got?
No, I did go back to sleep for I guess probably slept for about another 6.5 hours afterward. So it
Oh,
was,
okay.
yeah. But I'm used to going through the week without getting a lot of sleep, so I try to get extra sleep on the weekend. But whenever I start doing these hangouts, it just seems to, mess with the schedule.
Yep. I know how it goes.
All right, Doug. You have a good night.
All right, you too. Talk to you later.
Thank you. And Lila Tov, Reuven.